The diagram shows Mary's garden, ABC, ABC, so it's in the form of a triangle, which is right angled at B. So there's our right angle, our 90-degree angle at B. And the distance from A to B is equal to the distance from B to C, which is equal to 20 meters. So from A to B is 20 meters, and from B to C is 20 meters. Mary installs two sprinklers, one at A and one at C. So Mary installs a sprinkler at point A and a sprinkler at point C. Each has a radius of 14 meters. So a radius of 14 meters. So from here to here is 14 meters. From here to here is 14 meters. Likewise, from here to here is 14 meters. And from here to here is 14 meters. So each has a radius of 14 meters and can be restricted so that they only spray into her garden. The shaded area represents the part of the garden that is not reached by either sprinkler. So the orange part is not reached by either sprinkler. So this section here, this white arc, and this other white arc gets sprayed by the sprinkler. Part 1, calculate the area of her garden that is not reached by either sprinkler. So calculate the area of the orange piece. Give your answer in square meters, corrected 2 decimal places. Part 2, Mary wants to buy a new sprinkler and position it at A so that the whole garden is covered by this sprinkler and the existing one at C. Find the minimum necessary radius of the new sprinkler, giving your answer correct to the nearest centimetre. So for part 2, we're trying to find the radius. So part 1, calculate the area of her garden that is not reached by either sprinkler, so the area of the orange piece. Give your answer in square meters, correct to 2 decimal places. So the triangle ABC is right angled and it's also isosceles, because we're told that the length of AB is equal to the length of BC, and both of them are 20 meters. So here's our right angled triangle, and it's isosceles. A to B is 20 meters and B to C is 20 meters. Thus, the angle BAC is going to be equal to the angle BCA, which is going to be 45 degrees. So the triangle must add up to 180 degrees. We know this is 90. And we know that this length is equal to this length, so this angle must be equal to this angle, because it's an isosceles triangle. So 180, take away 90, leaves us with 90, and 90 divided by 2 is 45. So this angle is 45 degrees, and this angle is also 45 degrees. So the area of the triangle ABC, so ABC, is going to be half times 20 times 20, which is 200 meters squared, because the formula for the area of a triangle is half times base times height. The base is 20, the height is 20, and half times 20 times 20 is 200 meters squared. Next, we have to get the area of the sector. So it's going to be pi times 14 squared multiplied by 45 degrees over 360 degrees. And that's because the formula for the area of a sector is pi r squared multiplied by theta over 360 degrees. Theta being the angle that we're using. So the r represents the radius, and the radius of our sector is 14. So we swap the r for 14 with brackets around it, and we swap angle theta for 45 degrees. So we've got 45 over 360. So putting this into the calculator gives us 49 pi over 2 meters squared. And likewise, the area of the sector with the centre C is also 49 pi over 2 meters squared. So the area of this sector here is 49 pi over 2 meters squared, and the area of this sector here is the exact same, which is also 49 pi over 2 meters squared. Thus the shaded area is going to be 200 meters squared minus 49 pi over 2 meters squared minus another 49 pi over 2 meters squared. So the shaded area is 200 minus 2 times 49 pi over 2, which is going to be 46.06 meters squared, So the orange part, or the shaded part, is 46.06 meters squared. So part 2, Mary wants to buy a new sprinkler and position it at A, so that the whole garden is covered by this sprinkler and the existing one at C. Find the minimum necessary radius of the new sprinkler, giving your answer correct to the nearest centimetre. So to cover the entire garden, the sprinkler at A must reach the point D. So there's the point D. So if we were to extend the radius as far as point D, and we were to make a construction line with our compass, an arc, we would see that we would actually then cover the entire garden. So if we had a sprinkler at C, it still had a radius of 14, and it covered down as far as here, then we would just have to make sure that from point A, we had a radius that touched point D, and therefore it would cover the entire garden. There would not be any part of the garden that was not touched by the sprinkler. So to cover the entire garden, the sprinkler at A must reach point D. We're going to let R be the radius of the sprinkler located at A. Then by Pythagoras' theorem, we have R squared equals 20 squared plus 6 squared. So R, which is the radius, is actually the hypotenuse of this right angle triangle ABD. So the hypotenuse squared is equal to the sum of the other two sides squared, the other two sides being 20 and 6. So the distance from A to B is 20, and the distance from B to D is 6. So where did the 6 come from? Well, remember the entire height from here to here is 20. And the radius of the arc is 14, which means this is 14 as well. And 20 minus 14 leaves us with 6. So that distance there is 6. So R squared is going to be equal to 20 squared plus 6 squared. So 20 squared plus 6 squared is going to be 436. Bring over the squared, it becomes square root. The square root of 436 is 20.88 meters. So the radius is going to be 20.88 meters. And timesing this by 100, because there's 100 centimeters in a meter, we get 2088 centimeters.